Welcome to the BEASTwriter family, Dark Side of BEASTwriter. I'm your host, Ryan Sakamoto, and today we're going to be discussing Hunter Renfro and him inking a 2-year, $32 million extension. This is something that I talked about in my BEASTwriter Plus newsletter, so I just want to say thank you and mahalo to each and every one of you for subscribing to my channel. Just be sure to turn on and flip on the bell notifications so you get notified when I go live or when I upload content. Now, there's been some issues with Facebook. People are wondering how come I've been off the grid on Facebook and Facebook groups and pages. Well, it's because the interaction has been so high that they literally blocked me out from the Facebook groups. And it's not because I was trolling or anything, do anything negative. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't break the community guidelines or standards. But what happens is if you get a lot of engagement on your posts and interaction, whether it be positive, which is, it's all positive. There's nothing negative on it. So it triggers them to like look at it, but then instead of just looking at it and reviewing it, they kind of just shut me down. And I don't know why they're doing that, but luckily I have people that I know in Facebook through networking, through people who follow me here on the BWF and DOB. So thank you for all of you for helping me out in this matter and getting it escalated so we can kind of go ahead and figure out that problem. But with that being said, hey, there's no drop off in production here. We're just going to go right into it. We got some comments rolling in here. My man, Robert Watson says, what's up, Beast? What's going on, Robert Watson? My man, R-Dub, been keeping up with me. I see your comments, my man. Thank you so much. And I see your grind also on Instagram. We follow each other on Instagram, which is a really cool thing. My man, John Zach says, you're all about good vibes. I am, man. John, thank you so much. You've been with me since day one. And I like to think of myself, and there's people on my Facebook, personal Facebook profile, friends, family members, whatever. They're like, oh, well, how does it feel when you switch to the dark side? Like, are you getting negative feedback from the 49er fan base? And I said, you know what, to be honest with you, yeah. I mean, there's people that are going to drop off and not follow me or unfollow me for whatever the case may be. Because let's be honest, I'm not talking about your favorite team anymore, right? Or I shouldn't say that because I am, because I'm still have a pregame show with Randy Cross, my man, Randy Cross. So we still have a 49ers pregame show. We still talk about the 49ers every single week. So there's really no change, to be honest with you. I mean, the BWF has always been about covering all 32. It's just a matter of time of when something else was going to start picking up. And that's where we hear, that's for today. And that's what's happening. But, you know, the question was asked, you're switching to the Raiders, like, oh my gosh, that's so taboo. Like, how can you do that? And it's like, hey man, I go where the money is. I go where the traffic is. I go where the money is. I go where the growth is. And it's just like in any other job, right? So I just talked to my friend Lester, who is watching right now probably, and he's an RN. And he says, hey, BC, like, what kind of like feedback are you getting? I was like, you know what? It's the same thing that happened back in 2019 when I started covering the Pittsburgh Steelers for Sports Illustrated. You'd see a little people dropping off, but then you still pick up people at the same time. Double down on those gains. People will follow me regardless, and I'll tell you why. The competitive advantage of following me over anyone else, aside from my spot-on predictions and analysis, is that I have fitness gains. I post workout videos. That's universal. You don't have to be a fan of any specific team to get that out of you, right? Everybody wants or could be fit if they wanted to. Why not follow me for that? Strictly for that. So to be honest with you, the drop off from my followers happened years ago when I started competing, because people were saying, oh, you have your shirt off, you're doing this, you're doing that, oh, you're cocky, you're conceited. I'm like, man, if you're not on that level, how can you talk about it? I have to take off my shirt and practice my stage presence. Otherwise, I won't win. I need to know angles. I need to know lighting. I need to know all that, right? So I can care less what other people say or do, because those people, and there's a lot of people. I mean, Instagram, I had over, I want to say close to 17,000 followers, and it dropped. The moment I started competing and showing my fitness grind with my shirt off and people felt insecure about it, the numbers dropped, and it went from like 17,000 to literally 12,000. I lost like 5,000 overnight. It was a ridiculous amount. But then from that point on, and that was back in I started competing in 2016. From 2016 to today, which is what, a span of, I don't know, 7 years, 7 years, whatever the case may be. No matter what I did after that, the loyal ones stayed. So that's what I'm saying. So there's really no drop off in terms of people who are unfollowing me or following me, because at the end of the day, you're getting quality content. You're getting something that no one else really can provide, in my estimation, because again, I compete. I can talk about fitness gains. I can talk about personal training, online coaching, dieting, and then also talk about football. And look, if you guys want me to talk about the Niners week in, week out, send me those super chat and stickers. I'm more than happy if the money is there to be talking about whatever team. Doesn't have to be the Raiders or the Niners or the Steelers or what. I go where the money is. And right now, the money is on the Raiders. So I'm really, really going and moving all in on the Raiders because one, that's a new challenge for me in terms of growth, but two, the opportunity is there. And if I'm not going to be a guy that's just not going to go ahead and say, oh, well, I'm not going to take this opportunity because it's the Las Vegas Raiders. Like, no, I'm going to take that opportunity in stride and learn from it and grow from it. And I think that's with anything. Robert Watson says your analysis is on point, plus your example setting. Thank you so much, Robert. Appreciate it, my man. John Zach says, I'm working on getting there fitness wise like you. You got this, John. I'm telling you, you got this. Anybody, and that's another thing. It's all about having the beast mentality. We talk about the beast mentality all the time. What does that entail? Well, it entails waking up every day, killing yourself in the gym every day, and then resurrecting yourself the next day. Aside, and everything you do, it doesn't have to be the gym. It could be just work ethic, right? In your job, be the best version of yourself. All right. Don't compare to anyone else. Be the best version of yourself. Improve every day. And when you do that, it's baby steps, right? These are small wins that add up to big wins. And that's how I kind of approach life. You know, you have these little small wins. Oh, man, like you're rebranding yourself. Okay, so what? So I lose X amount of followers. Let's say I lose 7 followers today off YouTube. Let's just say hypothetically. And then I gain 3 more followers, right? So the margin there is what, 4? It's okay because those are small wins. Because at the end of the day, you still have those people like John. You still have people like Robbie. You still have guys like a guy called Ed who come in and they're talking. They're Niner fans. They're Niner fans, but they're supporting me and they like what I bring to the table and to the forefront outside of just football. That's what I'm trying to say. Like you're going to be learning stuff here on this YouTube channel. Like I said, it's a different beast. And again, I'm EVOGEN sponsored, right? I'm an EVOGEN athlete. So you're going to see that side of it as well. So you're going to see all my EVOGEN products. I'll be posting a lot of meal prep companies. We're looking for sponsorships right now on the YouTube channel. We're working with a few companies right now. They're kind of vetting for that ad space right now. So, I mean, things are going well. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't be here without you. So as well as it's going, it could die tomorrow. So there's that. Robbie says, I like the direction the Raiders are heading. Yeah, I do too. Let's go ahead and talk about the live stream and the focus of the live stream. But I just wanted to bring back to the forefront of exactly what was going on with the DOB, Dark Side of BEASTwriter, that you see here in the upper, well, in your case, what, right-hand corner, right? So the Dark Side of the BEASTwriter, is this something that is a rebrand? You know, we're still going to have the BWF. I mean, that's not going anywhere. I cover all 32 anyways. So there's no difference. It's just another part of my brand, if you will. All right. So let's talk about Hunter Renfro. What does he bring to the table? Is that ticker up? Make sure that ticker's up for you guys because I know you guys love those tickers. So Hunter Renfro, right? So they inked him to a 2-year, $32 million contract extension, right? He was playing the last year of his contract. In the description box, if you read the description box below in the BEASTwriter Plus newsletter and or a loyal subscriber, this one is free. So I made it free for all of you guys so you guys can kind of keep up with what I'm doing because I'm a nice guy. I'm joking. No, I just did it for you guys because, I mean, why not? Why not? I mean, who cares, right? So it's a free read for you guys, even if you're not subscribed to it. Basically, I broke it down on June 1st as to why I believed that Hunter Renfro should be the Raiders' top in-house priority. And I talked about analytics, right? We talk about that here in the BWF when we talk about analytics and my grading system, how that plays a role. And then we also talk about the numbers game, right? From a GM perspective, the financials and the long-term games versus the instant gratification, right? The 3 parameters that we always discuss in our YouTube live streams. 16 million APY is what Hunter Renfro received. All right. 2-year, $32 million, 32 divided by 2, $16 million, right? So when you take that into account and then you double down on those gains by reading my prediction, again, spot on prediction analysis, which you all have come to love, I said that Hunter Renfro was valued at 15 to 16 million APY. Called it. Boom. Beast receipt. Check it out, right? So how do I come about that in the first place? Well, we talk about it, right? We talk about valuation versus evaluation all the time here in the BEASTwriter Plus. A lot of the GMs use different terminology, but I'm going to just go from the Brett Beach tree and talk about valuation versus evaluation, right? What do you value the player? And of course, how do you value the player once you see them on film? And then where do those two things cross, right? We're going to talk about that. And again, if you guys want to read that, it's in the BEASTwriter Plus newsletter in the description below. I talked about it in the article. So just go ahead, and it says like predicting Hunter Renfro's 15 million APY or something like that. But let's talk about the formulating analysis of the valuation versus evaluation. Why did I say 15 to 16 million APY? Well, when you look at it and you look at top wide receiver money, because we all know that's skyrocketing. We all know it's skyrocketing, right? Cooper Kupp just got paid that big mega deal, by the way, which by the way, before that mega deal, Cooper Kupp was in the same tier as Hunter Renfro is today. So Cooper Kupp was also underpaid, and he got paid a big payday. So if you look at that tier of that $15 to $60 million range, and then you look at the production, you look at guys like Adam Thielen from the Minnesota Vikings. You look at guys like Allen Robinson from the LA Rams, previously the Chicago Bears. You look at those guys and you look at the comparables in terms of production, that's kind of where Hunter Renfro should be at. And so you look at that and I'm like, man, I can see it. I can see 15, 16 million. Well, why not more? Why not less? Because anything to top that, I mean, you're entering top 10 contract money. Yeah, that's like Devontae Adams money. You know, you ain't going to get that. So certainly you're not going to get Christian Kirk money, which the Jaguars did was, in my opinion, still one of the dumbest mistakes. No offense to you, Trent Baalke, but that was I'm going to say it's a dumb move. I'm going to say it's a dumb move. Now, people can disagree. Time will tell. Keep the beast receipt. Anything below $15 to $16 million, you're entering the Dallas Cowboys Michael Gallup situation. You're entering the contract situation of a Washington football team, or in this case, the Washington Commanders now. Curtis Samuel money. And for those who don't know who Curtis Samuel is, he is also considered a wide back. You guys remember from his time with the Carolina Panthers, right? Keep pounding. Furthermore, in that same tier below 15 to 16 million, you have a guy by the name of Corey Davis with the New York Jets. So that's kind of where the tiering is there. And that's why I was saying, you know what? Hunter Renfro is better than all those trio of wide receivers I just mentioned. So he should be at least above them in that kind of Cooper Kupp at the time, Adam Thielen and Allen Robinson money. So that's where I formulated my evaluation versus valuation. Now let's go to the numbers, right? The second part of that. In my estimation, input ticker. In my estimation, Hunter Renfro is a top 5 slot wide receiver. Top 5 slot wide receiver, hands down. Right? In 2021, he had 1,038 receiving yards, 103 catches, 9 touchdowns, right? All career highs in terms of touchdowns, right? Receiving yards, yada, yada, yada. Furthermore, 50% of those catches, which is 103, went for first downs. They were good for moving the chains. That's called production. Moving the chains, getting open, finding the soft spots in zone coverage within 20s, knowing where the sticks are, getting past the sticks when you come out of your route tree, depending on what kind of route you're running, right? How you fly off your stem. And to me, what I like about Hunter Renfro's game that no one really talks about is his silky smooth route running. I talked about it in the BEASTwriter Plus newsletter, how he wins early in the down. The guy's not tall. He's not the tallest guy. He's not the strongest guy. He certainly isn't the fastest guy. But he wins early in the down with sound fundamentals. Hence, the Raider way. Hence, a new contract, right? And then if you look at those numbers I just mentioned, would be catches, receiving yards, touchdowns. Let's see where those rank. Let's peel back layers of the onion to get to the core, as I always like to say in our DOB or BWF. Those 103 catches in the NFL, right? They were ranked tied for 9th in the NFL. So let me double check on that. I believe it's tied 9th in the NFL. Got to pull it up here to make sure, because somebody's going to come back. Oh, you were wrong, bro. And they're looking at the computer right now, not doing this live stream. Yes, it's tied for 9th in the NFL. 1,038 receiving yards. Like I said, that was tied for, that was 21st in the NFL. All right. And when you talk about touchdowns, his 9 receiving touchdowns, which were career high, is also tied for 9th in the NFL. So when you put that all together and all that production, and then you double down on those gains with those first downs, success rate moving the chains, 50%. Damn. Not too many players are better than that, Hunter Renfro. And then 452 yards after contact. That's something that I really want to talk about because a lot of times receivers can catch the ball, but they don't really fight for those extra yards, or they don't have the contact balance to or the lateral agility to make people miss and then fight for those extra yards, which could lead to first downs, right? And the football is a game of inches. Hunter Renfro gets it. Right? He had 452 yards after contact. That's ranked for 15th in the NFL. All right. So let's go ahead and back up a little bit, right? Let's back up a little bit and describe who is Hunter Renfro, right? Who the heck, by the way, if you like the video, if you like it, if you like everything that we're doing here and you're watching it now, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Also, leave your comments and drop your comments in the comments section. I'm going to go ahead and answer any questions that you may have on this Q&A live stream. And also, if you'd like to support, there's a few options now that YouTube gave me. They gave me the super chat and super sticker function, which was released once we hit 1,000 subscribers. That's not a new story. That's always been there. If you guys want to support that and support the channel, support the work in the DOB, you guys can go ahead and do that. There's a money icon in the comments section to the right-hand corner, I think. It's on the right-hand corner of the live stream. Or after this video concludes and you're not watching it live, you can still, this is the new option, you can still donate if you wish to the channel, and there's a heart money icon that's called a super thanks. All right, so no longer do I have to go on a live stream to get paid or for you guys to donate, right? You guys can do it post replay. Does that even make sense? Post replay? I don't know, but you guys can donate there as well. And again, I understand times are tough, so if you guys are unable to do that, that's fine. I just give it a thumbs up. That's free. Just give it a thumbs up. Engage with me. That's all I want. The money will come. I mean, I'm not concerned about that. I'm concerned about the social media engagement, making sure that you guys are getting the topics that you want covered, whether it be, well, right now it's Hunter Renfro. So let's go ahead and talk about Hunter Renfro, right? So getting back to it, and again, people are asking me, are you on Facebook? Are you on Instagram? What's your Twitter handle and all that stuff? That's in the description box of every YouTube channel. So if you guys scroll in the description below, you will see all our social media links are posted, or it's in the channel art on the YouTube channel in the upper right-hand corner. So there's a lot of ways you can find me, or just Google search BEASTwriter, Dark Side of BEASTwriter, stuff will pop up, Facebook groups, Facebook pages, all that good stuff. All right, but let's talk about Hunter Renfro. I just want to get that out of the way because I can't respond to like 13 DMs on where to find me on social media. So I just wanted to get that away on this live stream. So you guys can follow me there. All right, so who is Hunter Renfro? He's a 2019 fifth round pick, drafted number 149 by the Las Vegas Raiders. All right, he's only 5'10", 184. So the guy is lean. He's not the biggest guy. I mean, for you Niner fans, he's kind of built like a Trent Taylor. All right, he's tiny. He's a tiny little fella, right? But he has functional strength. And I talked about this with Glenn Parker yesterday in the Huddle on the Relevant app. If you guys don't watch or listen to the Relevant app, download the Relevant app. I'm on there every Thursday with my guy, Randy Cross. You guys know Randy Cross. Who's Randy Cross? You guys know Randy Cross. 49ers Pro Bowl offensive lineman, arguably the best offensive lineman to ever play the game for the San Francisco 49ers, College Football Hall of Fame, coming out of UCLA. Randy Cross, right? So Randy Cross is on there, obviously protecting Joe Montana over all those years. But you have Randy Cross in it. You have myself. You have my guy, Glenn Parker, and my guy, Tommy Mack. And, of course, Sean Salisbury. All those guys, all pro cast, can't beat it. All right? So every Thursday, download the Relevant app, and we're in there. But let's go ahead and talk about Hunter Renfro, right? He's not the fastest guy. We talked about this. He ran a 4.59 3-cone drill. 4.5, that's slow. I shouldn't say that's hella slow, but 4.59, yeah. Oh, sorry, not 3-cone drill, 40-yard dash. 4.59, actually, if it was a 3-cone drill, that'd be hella fast. 4.59 40-yard dash. All right, 4.59 40-yard dash. To me, a 4.59 40-yard dash, I mean, that's isn't that like Kyle Hamilton speed? I don't know. But speed isn't everything. If you can run crisp routes, win early in the down, be smart, do a lot of film study, knowing cover shells and knowing pre-disguised cover shells, knowing based on formations or how DBs are lining up, how they're playing their splits, where they're lining up on inside leverage versus outside leverage. And again, you guys got to remember, Hunter Renfro is lined up in the slot. The slot position outside of the quarterback and the center, and I talked about this on last Taco Tuesday's live stream, is the hardest position to learn on offense. Why? Because you have to understand spacing. So in order to understand spacing, you have to know where the split end is doing, what the flanker is doing, what the tight end is doing, and where they're running their routes and when they're flying off their stem, and how the linebackers and the second level backers and even on the third level, how they are playing their splits. So there's a lot going on. In fact, I would say the slot wide receiver is similar to like a point guard in basketball, because you have to know where everyone is on the court. You have to know the play, and not only know the play, but know other people's assignments as well. And then kind of guess or predetermine exactly where you're going to end up when the ball arrives at the catch point. And this is hard stuff. I'm telling you, it's not easy. And they make it look so easy. Anybody who plays the slot wide receiver position has his head on the swivel and then has to understand all those different route concepts and everything I just discussed in between. It's very difficult. It's very difficult. But what he really does, and he does really well, is finding the soft spots in zone coverage. And he's a crispy, clean route runner. So I really like that about Hunter Renfro's game. I think he brings a lot of swagger in his own right. And I think it's much well-deserved in getting that 2-year, $32 million contract extension, because he was in a contract year. And you don't want to be fighting or enter a bidding war for a top 5 slot wide receiver in today's NFL when it's a pass-happy league. You need a trio of wide receivers. You need the blueprint of what the Cincinnati Bengals did, right? When I predicted that Ja'Marr Chase would be drafted by them, like, oh no, they're going to go after Penei Sewell. I was like, nah, man, they're going to go after Ja'Marr Chase and reunite him with Joe Burrow. Look what happened. You have T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. Again, we're talking about, this is the BWF. We're talking about everything. Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, Ja'Marr Chase. Please. You don't think that's going to be the blueprint moving forward? Of course it is. Of course it is. That's the blueprint. That is the foundational blueprint of how to win on offense. No longer do you need a running back of the Marcus Allen days or the Frank Gore days, even, right? Frank Gore early on. The power back, the 300 carry type of a back. No, those days are long gone, because the way the rules are dictated, it's more toward fantasy football. Fantasy football is all about what? Scoring, high flying, aerial attacks. NFL is a business. NFL is a business. So although, getting back to Hunter Renfro, although I say he's not slow, he has speed, but I would say he's more quicker than fast, right? He's more quicker than fast, because in the 40, you kind of generate that speed, and then you have that deep speed, what I like to call deep speed, right? So once you hit your midseason stride and you kind of in that midseason stride, that's when you're kind of hitting your top gear. But that 4.59, I'm okay with it, because again, when you look at his 3-cone drill, right? He had a nice 3-cone drill. He had a 6.83 cone drill, right? And I believe that Khalil Mack had a 7.01 3-cone drill. So for me, anything under a 7 is good. I mean, if you're in the 6.6, I mean, that's really good. That's boop, check the box. 6.6 to like 6.8, I'm happy with that, because that shows fast twitch muscle fibers. That tells me that you can explode on the drop of a dime. You have good lateral agility, good contact balance, because on a 3-cone drill, you guys know how you have to tap, right? So that's what I like about him. And the lateral agility, again, it goes back to Hunter Renfro's lateral agility, winning at the line of scrimmage from the slot. I just love the way he does that. He just does it better than anyone. And if you look at Josh McDaniels' offense, right, with the New England Patriots, right, now he's the head coach of the Raiders. Look at all the wide receivers he had in the slot that had success. Julian Edelman, right? Danny Amendola was pretty good, right? So you have some guys, and of course, why am I drawing a blank? Wes Welker. Come on. Yeah, all Niner fans know Wes Welker. Come on. Look at those numbers, man. I'm telling you, Hunter Renfro is next in line to have a similar type of production, because Davante Adams is going to be the focal point of any secondary. He's going to take the top off the defense. That safety is going to provide help over the top. So if you're playing a cover 1 or a cover 3 shell, mainly it's going to be a cover 3, because how many safeties can cover their deep thirds with Davante Adams on the outside, especially if he's lined up outside the numbers? Ooh, that's a game of mismatches right there. So for me, if you're playing from the hash to the numbers or the hash to the boundary and you're the back end, that's going to leave a lot of real estate for Darren Waller down the seams and Hunter Renfro to operate from. So it's kind of like a pick your poison. And again, in today's NFL, you need a trio of receivers. And I will throw in the tight end in that equation because you look at the George Kittles, the Travis Kelce's, and of course the Darren Wallers in today's NFL, and they're receivers. I mean, in my opinion, George Kittle's the best all-around tight end in the game. I think that goes without question. People say it's biased. No, it is kind of biased. I like George Kittle, but his blocking ability is what separates him from everyone else, right? His block. It's like a basketball player. Oh, he's a great shooter. He's a great scorer. But then look how many turnovers he dumps off, or this guy doesn't play defense, right? Like James Harden. Just kidding. Not kidding, really. But you guys know what I'm talking about. You can't be a one-trick pony. That's all I got to say. You can't be a one-trick pony. So with that being said, I look for Hunter Renfro to have one hell of a season. And I'm really happy and excited to see what he has to say this year. Adams says, let's get to your questions. We have some questions on my Facebook group. We have some questions on my Facebook page for Fan Friday or Mahalo Fridays. John Zach says, Adam's Carr connection going to be insane for fantasy. It is. It really is, John. I don't know where, in terms of fantasy, Davante Adams is going to rank, but I'll tell you this, and there's people that are flying off the radar in terms of sleeping on the quarterback. You should not sleep on Derek Carr. In fact, I will go on a limb and have Derek Carr's back on the upcoming season. Look at count the beast receipt. Here we are. What day is it? June 10th. June 10th. Mark it down, guys. Derek Carr. Okay. Derek Carr will be a top 10 quarterback by the end of the year. Top 10 in touchdowns, top 10 in passing yards, and top 10 in quarterback efficiency. In fact, I will even go on a limb and say that Derek Carr will be, now this is getting kind of crazy. I don't know if I want to do this. All things created equal, with no injuries. The Raiders offensive line worries me. That's the only thing, and everything starts up front. And I talked about this with Randy Cross yesterday on Don't Cross the Beast Empire on our 49ers show with Unrelevant. But I talked to Randy about this, and Randy's biased because he's the offensive lineman. But I'm more biased than Randy because I'm the one that brought it up. But teams are built from the inside out. No quarterback, no wide receiver, no running back can have success without a stable offensive line in front. That's just common sense. If you build a team any other way, you're doing it wrong, right? But you don't just want to plug and play players just to plug and play players. They have to be actually good. And so you look at Denzel Good, right? He tore his ACL week 1 last year. You look at a game of musical chairs, moving right tackle Alex Leatherwood to inside and kick him into guard. You draft Dylan Parham out of Memphis, right? What did he go? Number 90 overall, I'm not mistaken, right? In the 3rd round, that was your first pick because you traded your top 2 picks for Davante Adams, right? And then you have Andre James as your center, right? And then what are you going to do on the right side? You have Lester Cotton, right? Is Lester Cotton going to be the right tackle? Because if you're really filling the best 5, Raider Nation, Dark Side of BEASTwriter, if you're really trying to fill the best 5, the Patriot way, and again, people, it's the Raider way. We don't want to bite off the Patriots. Look, you listen to all these Raiders press conferences and how Bolden was talking about, there's things we take from the New England Patriots, of course, because obviously it's a winning culture. And why wouldn't you want to take some of the things that they did over there and bring them over here and formulate your own culture? I mean, it's kind of common sense. Of course they're going to do that, but it's not like an exact blueprint. McDaniels is going to have his own stamp on it. There'll be things that he takes from Belichick over the course of the years and then comes over to Las Vegas, and then he's going to add and implement some new stuff in there. So it's not going to be an exact blueprint. I mean, come on, right? So it's really going to be one of those things where it's like getting back to the cultural identity of the team that, there's things that are going to change, right? But when it comes to guys like Hunter Renfro, extending tight end Darren Waller, that's going to happen. But again, the offensive line is what concerns me. And again, if you're GM Dave Ziegler, you need to address that offensive line because the guys I just mentioned, I like Dylan Parham. Put up a video on Dylan Parham. You guys saw the film study that I put up, some highlights and some clips of him. If you guys haven't checked that out, just type in Dylan Parham or just go to my videos. It's up there. But Dylan Parham, to me, he should be starting week 1. I mean, you don't draft a guy in the 3rd round with your top pick overall in 2022 to ride the pine, right? He's going to have every opportunity to win that job. But Denzel Good's not going to make it easy for him. I like Denzel Good, and he's a forgotten man. When I went on Raiders Nation Radio with my man Vinny B of Vegas Nation Reporter for the Las Vegas Raiders, beat writer, so yada, 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 one of the biggest guys out there, we talked about it. We talked about the offensive line. We talked about Alex Leatherwood and how he should be afforded the opportunity to win the right tackle position. But if you're really doing it the Patriot way and the Raider way, you're going to field your best 5. And I talked about that in the BEASTwriter Plus newsletter. I talked about that on Twitter, talked about that here on my live streams, right? You want to field the best 5, right? It doesn't matter which 5 players there are. You just want the best 5 players on the freaking football field, right? The best 11. Let's field the best 11 and it's put them in the best position to make plays. In my estimation, I think Alex Leatherwood is a guard. That's something that I pointed out. Go ahead, check the Beast receipts on YouTube. As I ran grades on all 32 teams right after the draft was made. Took a lot of time, but I did it. Look what I said about Alex Leatherwood on my live stream, right? I talked about Alex Leatherwood. I said that was, man, at 17, that was a reach. There's a lot of different players that they couldn't win after. It was a surprise pick, and I think he's an interior guard. I don't think he's best fit as an offensive tackle. And that's me as a Roll Tide Roll fan. You guys know that. So for me, I'm not there at practice, so I don't see the development, but what I do see is game film, right? And on game days in his rookie year, and he had a press conference, he talked about the learning curve and how he was learning different things. And the question was asked, where do you think you're going to play? Are you going to play on the right side? Or are you going to be kicked inside? He's like, I'm good with whatever, which is a good thing to say. But if you're talking about money, you want to be a tackle. I mean, there's a reason why Orlando Brown Jr., OBJ, the other OBJ, requested a trade because he wanted Ronnie Stanley money in Baltimore and then was obviously shipped out to the Kansas City Chiefs. Because he moved from right tackle to left tackle once Ronnie Stanley went down to that injury. And when he went down, he stepped up. And so that's what I'm saying. But, when early on in your career, you just want to do anything to please the coaching staff, right? But if it was me and I was Alex Leatherwood, some people, I'm not going to put any names out there, friends of mine, played for the 49ers, played for some of these other NFL teams, offensive linemen, Pro Bowl offensive linemen. They look at it as a demotion. Literally, you're getting demoted if you get kicked inside. Now, is that true? I mean, the money talks. At the end of the day, tackles are just worth way more than guys who are kicked inside. So if I was Alex Leatherwood, I'd want to keep outside as much as possible, even though you're on a rookie deal. But if you're fighting for that second contract and you're kicked inside in year 3 or year 2, in this case, year 2, and then you play there for a couple of years, and let's say your development comes further along, and then they move you outside. When you're coming back to the negotiation table, you're going to be like, well, are you a right tackle or are you an interior guard? I mean, that can be a problem. Barry at Baller 18 says, "What up, Ryan? Hope you're staying cool. It's hot as yes, it is. It's very hot. It's so hot right now. I can't believe it. Well, look, you see the sweat right here? That's sweat. I ain't lying. That's sweat. So yeah, it is hot. It is hot in here, and I don't know. It's just because of the dark side of BEASTwriter or what, but it is hot. It is hot. But I hope everyone's staying hydrated here in the Bay Area, in the South Bay, because it is up in the hundreds. In some places, it's up here in the high 90s today. I was supposed to go to the gym, but on hot days, you know what? There's 2 ways I can look at this. People who don't have AC will go to the gym and just hog up the machines and not do jack crap. They'll just hog up the machines just to get the AC going and be like, yeah, I got a few more sets, and pretend they're on their phone, like this. And I'm like, I got to work out, dude. Like, are you just going to be sitting there, or you actually be doing something? But then I get it, because it's so hot. I don't want them dying out there. So, because it's tough. It's tough. It's brutal. It's brutal. So that's why I kind of stay away from the gyms right now. Like, honestly, I will stay away from the gym right now because, one, people are just going to go there and just shoot the crap, like with other people, run their mouths more than they're going to work out their muscles. And so I need to work out. Like, when I'm at the gym, I step foot in the gym, I'm going to work out. But because it's so hot, people go to the malls, people go anywhere there's air conditioning, right? And people who live in Vegas, you guys know what I'm talking about. So there's nothing new here. It's just a matter for me. Luckily, I have non-sponsored posts, obviously. I have the Bowflex 552 dumbbells, and that's really saving me from these hot days. And even during COVID, people say, how do you stay in shape? Well, I have these dumbbells, and they're really great by Bowflex. And people were like, Bowflex? I was like, dude, these Bowflex dumbbells are the real deal. They're called the 552 Tech or something, whatever it's called. Maybe I'll do a video for you guys, a home workout video. I know I should be doing it because obviously you guys have been requesting it. I usually post my workout grind on Instagram. So again, for all of you guys who are wondering for my workout videos, I've been posting it on Instagram. I've been doing that since I started opened my Instagram account, which is what, back in when did Instagram, whenever Instagram was relevant, 2010? I don't know. But I posted up on my stories. A lot of weird stuff happens, by the way. If you go to my Instagram, which by the way is in the description, again, all my social media and every live stream and every video that I post and all my social media content will be at the end, at the bottom of the post. And you'll see all my social media. Follow me there. But there was a guy yesterday. Not kidding. I was on the Stairmaster. You guys know I've been known to burn 1,000 calories in under an hour on the Stairmaster. So I'm hitting my Stairmaster. No joke. Go to my Instagram story. Everything's public. Go to my Instagram story. You'll see a guy with the shirt off. Literally, this dude. I'm not joking. I'm in the corner by myself. I try to separate myself from everyone else so I can just focus on my grind, right? So I kind of go in the corner, kind of put myself on timeout, and I'm doing the Stairmaster. You know, I'm hustling. I'm puffing, right? Doing my thing. Staying relevant. You know, posting stuff on social media, answering your guys' questions and DMs. And I see this guy just take off his shirt in my peripheral. I was like, oh man, like what's going on here? Like, I was like, what is going on? This dude takes off his shirt and he kind of throws it in my direction. I'm like, what is that? And I have my, AirPods in. So I'm like, what's going on? Right? Like, is he talking to me? Obviously he's not talking to anyone else because there's a wall next to me. So obviously there's no one here at this time, right? It was at 10:30. And so I'm like, what the heck's going on? And then I see him just trying to mean flex on me. And and second of all, he's in his Crocs on the Stairmaster. Like, you're going to break your ankles, bro. Like, who works out in Crocs? None. And if you can do it, hey, my hat's off to you. I did a lot of like questionable stuff too. Like, I was hiking Mission Peak in Chucks. Don't ask me why I was doing it. I don't know. That was a dumb move on my part. But I hiked Mission Peak in Chucks. I have pictures to prove it. All right. I wasn't trying to be a tough guy. I was just an idiot. Like, I was just dumb. Like, I don't know why I was doing that. Like, that was just pointless. Like, I don't know. People were like, why are you in Chucks? And I looked down, like, I don't know. Why am I in Chucks? Like, I should have some running shoes or something like that. Like, maybe some Nike, some Pegasus is on. I don't know. Anyways, I have pictures to prove that. Maybe I'll post it on the community page so you guys can laugh about it later. But Barry Baller says Adams, Waller, Renfro is a damn good trio. Who is their deep threat, though? All right, so if we talk about deep threats, right, and I talked about this on earlier live streams, and I talked about what each brings to the table, right? When you formulate a team, you want to find guys who give and separate themselves from the next guy. So you want to get a core foundation of players that complement each other's skill set. In fact, what I mean by that is you don't want two guys, right, who do exactly the same thing. Because then where do they fit in terms of how many snaps you're going to give them? What's the rep count? Where you can kind of fit them into the offense? I mean, let's face it. If there's two wide receivers and all they can do with like a Denzel Mims coming out of Baylor, right? Wasn't he coming out of Baylor? You guys remember Denzel Mims, New York Jets? And again, check the Beast receipts. I said, this guy's going to be a bust. And people, oh, no, you see us. Oh, this guy's a real deal. What are you talking about? You look at his highlights. It's like, no, man, this guy's going to be a bust. Denzel Mims is going to be a bust. Why? Because he can't run a full route tree. He can only run 7, 8, 9 bangers. That's it. So, I mean, if you're just looking for that deep threat, then yeah, like a Deshaun Jackson. Well, no, Deshaun Jackson can run everything, but Deshaun Jackson is a deep threat, right? But he can do a multitude of different things. When you look at the Raiders, right, and you look at the guys that they signed, and you look at the guys that they brought in, and I talked about this again on my live stream, and I talked about it on Relevant, actually. I talked about the deep threat and why you need a deep threat wide receiver, but furthermore than that, why you may not need it based on the personnel that you have in front. So when you look at it, let's look at they have Demarcus Robinson, right? So Demarcus Robinson coming from the Kansas City Chiefs. they have a guy by the name of Jordan Vesey who they signed, and they also have Keelan Cole, right? So for me, when you have those guys in play, Keelan Cole could be the logical deep threat. I like Keelan Cole. I think he can get stretched to the field vertically. I like Keelan Cole a lot in terms of speed, size, all that. I like Keelan Cole a lot. I like what he brings to the table. He's not the biggest guy, but he has, I mean, the guy can run. The guy can run. Coming out of Kentucky, I can't pronounce Westland. I don't know. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. I think it's Kentucky Westland. Don't even know where that is. Never heard of that college in my life, but the guy can run and he's in the NFL. So Keelan Cole, I've been watching him for many years, and he's a guy that I always was high on in terms of what he brings to the table coming from the Jacksonville Jaguars. So when you look at what the Raiders are trying to do, they're trying to find players, especially at that skill position, the wide receiver position in this case, that complement each other. Hunter Renfro, we know what he can do, right? We know what he can do. Davante Adams, we definitely know what he can do. Darren Waller, we definitely know what he can do. But what about these okay, so since we know what those three guys can do, who's that fourth element that can kind of separate from what those guys do? And that's that deep threat that you just mentioned, Bay Area baller. And I think the guy who should be in the running is Keelan Cole. I think Keelan Cole is a guy who can kind of win between the 20s and kind of take off the top of the defense. Now, how that's going to play out, we don't know. But last year, he averaged 16 yards per pop, had 449 receiving yards on 28 catches. So the number of targets anyways that these deep threats are going to have, if you're looking at from a target share fantasy football perspective, now I put my fantasy football hat on, you got to look at the target share. Realistically, how many targets is Keelan Cole going to have based on situational football, based on how we see some of these games playing out? I mean, let's be honest, some of these games are going to be pound and ground, right? Some of these other games are just going to be airing it out. Some of these other games, when you predict the outcome of that game, it can be, oh, the Raiders will be down by X amount of points and now they have to play catch up, or it's garbage time, right? Toward the end of the fourth quarter. And if you're in a PPR league, we all know how that goes. So the target share realistically on average for a guy like Keelan Cole or that deep threat to me is probably maybe 1 or 2 targets. I mean, you know, Davante Adams is going to be targeted 10 to 15 times a game. You know that Darren Waller is going to be targeted at least 6 to 9 times a game. So let's go 6 to 8. Let's go 6 to 8 a game. I like going on the lower end because everything else on top of that is bonus. You know, Hunter Renfro working the slot, being the third down conversion guy, is going to at least get 10 to 12 targets a game. So when you add it all together and you turn those in terms of completions or pass attempts, how many targets is realistically is a guy like Keelan Cole going to have? And that's not even taking into account the running backs coming out of the flat. So for me, it's almost like, yeah, I can see Keelan Cole being that guy. If that answers your question. Barry Ball says, I was wrong on Leatherwood. I thought he was a first-round talent at tackle, but I was right about Andrew Thomas. I had him behind Jedrick Wills, Tristan Wirfs. You did. I remember this, and you did. So the Beast receipt checks out on you. You were right on that. I thought Andrew Thomas was another one I thought was a reach, too. I thought that they would go Jedrick Wills. Jedrick Wills, to me, and I guess you can say I was wrong on this, he was my number 2 ranked. Oh, no, he was my number 1. Excuse me. I'm calling myself out. I don't care. I like doing it because, again, I can't just be like, oh, look at me. No, I'll call myself out when I'm wrong. This is one of the few times that I'm wrong. I said Jedrick Wills, maybe because I'm a Tide Rule fan, but I said Jedrick Wills was the best offensive tackle in that draft class. In fact, my number 2 guy was Tristan Wirfs. And I said the Niners should draft Tristan Wirfs and not trade out before all that Javon Kinlaw stuff came about. But I knew what they were going to do with Javon Kinlaw. That's why I put it out there. Nothing against Javon Kinlaw. I just said, hey, they should stick at 13 and get Tristan Wirfs. On the live stream, I said it. On this very live stream, I said it 2 years ago. All right, so I don't know, man. But no, I remember you saying that. That was a good call. Barry Baller says, CG Sports Talks channel says, hi, BEASTwriter. Who are your top 5 49ers? Who are my top 5 49ers? That's a good question. That is a good question. Who are my top 5 49ers of all time or today? If you're talking about today, definitely you got to put Fred Warner up there. Fred Warner's dad follows me on all social media, and he supports the DOB, the BWF. He supports it all. So Fred Warner Sr., if you're watching, I'm going to put Fred Warner number 1. I don't think that's a question. Duh. Fred Warner, I'm going to have to say George Kittle. There's something about George Kittle I just love. Maybe because of our ties to Westcott Gym. Tori, what's up? You guys don't know Westcott Gym. You guys got to go there, downtown San Jose. So George Kittle will be number 2. I know this is bias, right? Oh, you're being so biased. But again, these guys are the best players on the field, so can't really say it's bias. Fred Warner, George Kittle. Who else is there? I like Trent Williams. I really do like Trent Williams. But this is a tough one. Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel will be 3. Number 4, Jimmy Ward. I like Jimmy Ward. Say what you say. Say what you want about Jimmy Ward. Jimmy, my boy. So number 4, I love Jimmy Ward. Number 5. Who would be 5? Who would be 5? 5 alive. 5 alive. Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa. There you go. That's my 5. That's my 5. Not in terms of best players, but my favorite players on the team. Players I like most. See, thank you. Mahalo for the love. He said, I really love your channel, BEASTwriter. Thank you so much. Appreciate the love. Barry Baller says, I love how Ryan can answer a question and elaborate on it for 10 minutes. That's a talent. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I just love talking football. Like, I look at this live stream as very niche, I guess you'd say. And that's a term that people use, influencers use, niche. What's your niche, right? On YouTube, they always ask you, find out what your niche is. And you know what? To be honest with you, my niche is football and fitness. No matter what team I'm talking about, if you're a fan of whatever team you're rooting for, I can tell you, I can play this blind and talk about it. So it's almost like me going to a bar, watching a game, like let's say the Warriors are playing tonight, and just talking football, or shit, we can talk basketball if you want. We all know I'm good at that. So whatever. I'm actually better, believe it or not, I'm actually better at talking basketball. If you think I'm good at football analysis and predictions, you guys, when you guys used to follow me for basketball, that was spot on. I was getting stuff down to how many points a player would score within a 2 to 3 point differential. And so, yeah, all that plays a role. I can definitely talk scheme. I mean, I played it, so yeah. But which, by the way, I'm a diehard Warriors fan, right? I'm a diehard Warriors fan. Grew up here in the Bay Area, and I don't like it. I do not like it. It irritates me a little bit. And Klay Thompson said it, what was it, last year about the fake fans. I don't like it when a team loses and people just shut off. Like, they just shut off, completely shut off. It's like, yes, winning cures everything, but stick with the team through the thick and thin. And I always say this. I say stick to with the team through the thick and thin, because even in the down years, when they're on the come up will be that much more sweeter because you were with them when they were down. That's a true fan. That is a true diehard fan. Tell your friends who fall off the wagon. And remember when the Heat were doing well, LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, and here we go talking about basketball. You guys remember when all of a sudden these Heat fans came out of nowhere? It's like, whoa, bro, where did you come from? Oh, I've always been a Heat fan. And then you go on Facebook and you see their liked teams, right? Remember, you can like, if you're a friend with someone, you can like their interests and see what their interests are. And it's not even the Miami Heat. It's like the Golden State Warriors. You guys remember that? I do. I still have friends that do that. And today, oh, I'm a Warrior fan. It's like, dude, then you go on their page and it's like, nah, man, you like the Lakers. But I don't call them out. I'm just in my head, I'm saying that. I'm not going to be calling them out. To be honest with you, if I'm good on friends, I'll call you out on it. I've been known to do that, and it rubs people the wrong way, but it is what it is. Klay Thompson is right. Like, hey, don't be well, what do we talk about here? Right? One of the things I talk about, my terminology, a triple F, flip, flop, or fake, would be flipping your analysis in real time to hindsight, or flipping your love for a sports team or faithfulness to a sports team from real time to hindsight. Do not do it. Don't do that. Don't be a triple F. Don't do it. CG Sports Outside, who do you got in game 4 of the NBA Finals, Golden State or Boston? That's a great question. I'm going to, you know what? I talked to a friend of mine yesterday, or no, the day before yesterday, when the Warriors played the Boston Celtics, and the question was asked, who's going to win the series? And I said, you know what? The way I see this match, I mean, the Boston Celtics are a tough matchup. And when you talk about scheme, and we can talk about scheme just like we talk about cover shells in the NFL, we can talk about scheme and player matchups and how length plays a role. We can talk about all that. But when you actually understand the game and talk about spacing and the way the Boston Celtics use their spacing to their advantage, that's something that no one really talks about, because we can talk about the fast break stuff. We can talk about the secondary break stuff. We can talk about all that stuff. But, you know, fundamentals, boxing out, often, you know, player efficiency, yada. But to me, what it comes down to, what the Boston Celtics are doing really well that the Warriors need to figure out is how to cut down on the Boston Celtics defensive scheme in terms of how they're utilizing spacing from sideline to sideline, right? To baseline to sideline, right? And then again, from that, when you go and you spread it, and people who know this know that I coached basketball, right? I coached a championship team. Stratford, holla at Stratford if you're there. All my Stratford kids went on to play for Mitty, went on to play for Bellarmine, went undefeated my last year coaching back in 2014, ran people out of the gym. It was great. So Rohit was on that team. Satvik was on that team. Justin was on that team. Shea was on that team. Cameron was on that. We had a strong team. Rashil was on that team. Eddie Park, my guy Eddie Park, Eddie Park was on that team. For anyone who doesn't know who Eddie Park is, he now plays for Stanford. So go look up my boy Eddie Park. All right, great kid. He's going to the MLB. I'm telling you, the guy's gonna play majors. I'm telling you, trust me on this. I've known him since he was a little boy, man. Coached him. I saw something in him that I have never seen from anyone else since. And I'm telling you, this kid's gonna go to the pros. But anyways, getting back to your question, game 4 of the NBA Finals, this is a must-win game, obviously, for the Golden State Warriors. It's going to be it's tough, man. It's tough. It's a tough call. I'm going to ride with the Golden State Warriors in the must-win game. I think the Golden State Warriors are going to pull this out some way, somehow. I think that Klay Thompson is going to get hot. I think they have to rely on other people other than Steph Curry to kind of step up. And I'm talking about Draymond Green. Draymond Green needs to hit some of these open looks because they're just leaving him wide open, which teams obviously do at the top of the key because you know he's not going to hit a three and he's not very good at shooting anyways. That's not his forte. But if you have a 15, 16 footer there, I mean, you got to take that shot, bro, with no fear. I mean, this is professional basketball. Now here I am saying, oh, it's easy. It's not easy. It's not easy. I mean, I can't do it. I'm not in the NBA, but I can't make a 15, 16 foot open jump shot. I can do that. So I think Draymond Green is going to be the X factor. I think he's going to get it done. I love Draymond Green, one of my favorite players in the NBA. I want to use this as motivation for Draymond Green. Draymond Green, get your triple-double and be a scoring threat in clutch situations. Be the dog. Draymond Green, one of my favorite. I love Draymond Green, man. Coming out of Michigan State, coached by Tom Izzo. Great. Who, by the way, if you guys remember, Tom Izzo's good friends with who? Steve Mariucci, the former head coach of the San Francisco 49ers. You guys didn't know that, right? Remember when they picked Julian Peterson back in 2000? Where did he come from? Michigan State. No, there you go. CA Sports Talk said, I would love to see George Kittle score a touchdown and dive into the end zone full of Skittles, which is my favorite candy. Hey, Skittles are good. I think Beast Mode, Marshawn Lynch would have something to say about that. But do you guys remember Larry Grant did that at, what is it called? CenturyLink Field at the time? On the side, I posted it on my blog when I had it. There's fans pouring Skittles in his mouth. Larry Grant used to work out at the gym that I worked out at 24, right over by Brokaw. And we would talk about that all the time. There's a lot of Niners that used to work out there by Brokaw. One, because it's close to Rivermark and close to where they live. Now you guys know where they live. How many points will Steph Curry drop? How do you know that? Well, I'm friends with a lot of them. How many points will Steph Curry drop in this game against the Boston Celtics? That's a good question. I don't know, man. I think they're going to try to shut down Curry and let someone else beat them. Now, whether that be Klay Thompson, whether it be Jordan Poole, whether that be Draymond Green, not really likely Draymond Green, but Jordan Poole or Klay Thompson or someone else, I think that's going to be their MO. I think they're going to be doing a lot of switching, which is, coaches can talk about whether or not to switch or fight the screen or fight through it or go over the top or don't let them, you know what I mean? But I think they're gonna somewhat contain. Now you can't stop Steph Curry. There's no way you can stop. I mean, he can be quadruple teamed and still make a 3 from half court. I mean, there's the guy's just amazing, best shooter ever. I think he is going to end up with, in the must-win game, we got off to a hot start. I mean, I'll say in the first half he'll have around, I'm going to say about 13 points, 10 to 13 points in the first half. He's going to do a lot of other things. He's going to get a lot of rebounds, going to drop some dimes here and there. He might have 4 or 5. He might have like 5 or 6 assists in the first half. So I think if you're looking at a first half line on the totals, I would say 10 to 13 points and maybe 5 to 6 assists. Second half is where he's really going to pick up. I think in that third quarter, you're going to see him start heating up and generating a rhythm. Because I think what the Boston Celtics want to do is they want to take him out of his rhythm from the get-go and let someone else beat you, especially in this must-win game. Because if you know that this is a must-win game, who are you going to stop? The player who can ultimately threaten that. And the one player who can ultimately threaten that, if you're going to single out one player, has to be Steph Curry. So I think when they contain Steph Curry in the first half, I think that's going to leave a lot of opportunities for Jordan Poole to get hot, as well as Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson, I love Klay Thompson. I mean, you want to talk about not being a one-trick pony on both sides of the floor. Klay Thompson is the real deal, man. The guy is, I mean, geez Louise, the injuries he came back from, was it tore ACL and then was it his Achilles or something like that? And then for him to have the season he's having, I think he's going to get hot tonight, like really hot tonight. He might end up with 3 or 4 threes in the first quarter. I'm not joking. I have a feeling that the Warriors are going to be coming out playing lights out. I think they're going to be playing lights out, being focused, having tunnel vision, that this is a do or die game for them because they can't go down 3-1 and then expect to win the series. I mean, if you look at the probability win rate on that, I think you would kind of make that bet if you could bet, and obviously take the Celtics. So interesting. All right, so I think that's going to wrap up this live stream. We talked about a lot. We talked about the Raiders, Hunter Renfro's contract. We talked about my Dark Side of the BEASTwriter analysis in terms of what I bring to the table on this new channel. So be sure to subscribe to the channel in the description box below. Give it a thumbs up. And again, we're going to continue doing this every other day, I should say, on average, as we keep things hot here in the DOB. Thank you so much for tuning in, everyone. I hope everyone had a fun time. I know I did. BEASTwriter out.